All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start. Everybody should be able to see the screen. We have about 6 people visiting, and we're recording, and I'm sharing. So what I wanted to do today is just cover, we know how to meet a buyer. We know that it's all about being social. They're going to know you, like you, trust you. You're going to pour into them. They're going to say, oh my God, what do you do? You're a realtor. You're going to set up a search. You're going to show them homes, and boom, we cover working with a buyer all the time. The biggest thing is to set the appointment and meet them in person. I'm going to show how to get into a key box later, because that's some things that some people just don't learn. But what we're talking about is getting a listing. And so I had Jay call me over the week, and I have another agent. I don't even know the name. I just know that I'm meeting her at 2 tomorrow in Duncanville. So I'm meeting you in where in the morning? I'm meeting you in Duncanville. I'm meeting her in Rowlett. So I live in Plano. So I'm going to leave at 8:45 to meet you there. And then I'll come back and I'll go over to Rowlett. So that's just one of the things that I like to do. So when he gave me the address, which one are you? Are you Lodima? Perfect. So I'll do that one first, because that's at 10 a.m. But the first thing that happened is when he called me. And how did you meet the seller?
I've known him from church.
Okay. I mean, that's just exactly what I'm talking about. So you meet people through church, and at some point they trusted Jay, and if it's a friend, it's like, hey man, I'm thinking about selling my house, and probably knew you're a realtor because you told him, instead of like playing Fortnite and being in your apartment or house and never telling people you're a realtor. Yeah. So hopefully he set the appointment, which is what he did, and it's at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So what I would have done is if it was at church, I would have immediately, at some point gone back home, and I'm going to log into MLS. And this is the website for MLS, matrix.netrus.net. I save it as a home screen on my phone, and it's a website. I don't use the app, and I never have. So I love this website. I keep it on my phone. And that means that when I go on my phone, I can do everything I'm about to do with you guys. To make your job easier, which is my goal, the first thing I always try to do is to see if it was ever listed in the MLS since 2003. If it was, it makes my job much easier, because I don't have to find it in the tax roll. So I clean everybody's home screen up, generally speaking, to look like this. And I go right here to this middle square, which I think is a hidden gem. And I'm going to simply type in the physical address of the house, street number. I'm going to tab, and the street is Lodima, I think. But I don't really care if I need to spell the whole word. I just need to know at least the first 2 or 3 letters. So this is how dummy proof this is. If I go LOD and then hit search, I'm hoping that home was in the MLS since 2003. And I see that it was. And it pulls up everything since 2003 that starts with 1215 and LOD. If I did LO, hey Ryan, if I did LO, it would still pull it up. But it also might pull up Loeb or Loginger, because it's going to pull up everything LO. So again, it's almost dummy proof. All I'm going to do is I see it there. I'm going to click on the MLS number, and it says right there, MLS number. When I click on it, it's going to give me all the information that I could possibly have on that listing. And I'm going to print it. I go right here and I hit print. And when I hit print, it's going to default to agent full report. That's almost what I want you to print every single time. So that means you never even have to touch anything. All you do is go print. And once you do, this is what you're going to have. And it's usually going to be 2 pages. Okay. So I'm back at it, and you'll see that this is called the agent full report. Right at the top, it says listing. All you got to do is go over here to tax, click on that, and that's going to pull up the tax roll, and you're going to print it. That's all you need to do a listing presentation, or better yet, that's all you need to write an offer. You've got to have the agent full report printed, and you've got to have the tax roll printed. You put them on both sides of your laptop, and if you already know if this was a buyer and you didn't need to do a CMA because they told you what they want to go in at, you're done. But this is a seller, and so we still need to do a CMA. And so I am going to pull up this website, so it's going to be loaded when I get there. So we're in the MLS, and again, right here, we're on the tax roll. If I just go back and click listing, I'm back at the listing. What I like to do is I like to look down here for the subdivision. And all you have to do is scroll down a little and you can see that to the right of the picture. Hey, Mason, that check's for you. It's somewhere right there. Mason just got his first, that's the first commission period, isn't it? Very nice. When'd you get licensed? I forget.
December 26th.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, very nice. All right, so you can see right there, it says Erwin Kessler. Okay, all I'm going to do is copy and paste right there, just Erwin Kess. I'm going to copy it. I do have to remember what city it's in. It's in Duncanville, and I want to look a little bit at what the criteria is. Well, I've already printed it, so I don't need to look at this screen because I've already printed it. So I'm going to hover over the search tab at the very top. Okay. So just to give you perspective, if I went back to the dashboard, this is the screen we started out at. Okay. And if you're ever on the phone with me, in order for us to both get and reset for me to know where you're at, I'm going to tell you, hey, let's go to the dashboard. And if you were with me, I'm driving down the road, I'm going to tell you where it's at. I'm going to go to my matrix on the top left, hit dashboard. And now let's start where we know where we're at. And if you're doing a CMA, which is what we're doing next, I'm going to say hover over the search tab, residential, that's houses, and either go detailed or quick. I don't care, either one. When you hit detailed or quick, this is your search screen. Now, this is set up for a buyer search because I set it up like that for you because you're going to work with a buyer most of the time. But we're doing a CMA. And when we do a comparative market analysis, who gives a rat's ass what somebody lists their home at? That doesn't matter because people list for weird reasons. We want to know what's sold, and that gives us some data. So I've always said, skip coming soon, mark the next 3, skip the next 2, and mark the next 2. Okay. Hey, Silva. Hey, Ali. So we've got active, we skip coming soon, we mark the next 3, we skip the 2, we mark pending and sold. Even in class, you hear that we go back how many months? 6. So that's only 3 months. So we need to go back 6 months. That's 180 days. So now I go to subdivision, and didn't I copy it? So all I have to do is paste it. But you'll notice that when it pastes, it doesn't make it completely. So you need to move it back to where it's right there at the beginning. And then even though that's not the absolute spelling of the subdivision, if I hit the shift button and 8, that is an asterisk. And that wild card, that subdivision anywhere in our entire MLS, which is ginormous. So in order to make sure there's not another subdivision in Plano called Erwin Kessler or whatever it was, I need to go over to the city and type in Duncanville. So as I start to type in Duncanville, it's going to give me, as soon as I got to Dunk, it's going to give me 2 cities that start with GUNC. I can't leave it like that. I've got to actually click it. It's got to turn blue. And you'll see at the bottom that there's 18 matches. Okay. Well, now in order to make the market analysis comparable, I want to look at this home and make sure that I'm comparing apples to apples. So I can see it's a single story. And when I look at the bedrooms, I see the length, but then I see /1. That 1 means first floor. So if I saw a 2 on any of those, it would make me think it is a 2-story. But it says 1 on everything. And then over here, it's going to say stories. So I'm going to look at stories, and it's going to say 1. It's going to say 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. When I look at garage, I want to see if it has a carport or if it has an actual garage. Hey, Tabitha. Hey, Chris. Hey, Faith. You can get over here if you want. So you can. Pizza's on its way, but it's just not here yet. It's aggravating. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just to make it apples to apples, I'm going to go over here to bedrooms, and I'm going to go 3-3 because I don't want 5-bedroom homes or 2-bedroom. It just went from 18 to 13 homes. Then I go down to baths, and this says it's a 2-bath. So I'm going to go 2-2, and it goes to 12. Okay, I'm going to go to stories, and you can see that it says total stories in the building. And I'm going to go 1-1, and it goes to 0. So I'm going to delete that because I want some choices. And then I'm going to hit results because I think this is good enough. 12 matches. I'm going to hit results. And I want to be able to click this right here that says quick CMA, but it's not highlightable. That means I have to check all, which is going to be above the 1.
For some reason, mine didn't. You'll have 0 max. I'll put in what you put. It's up to that.
Okay, that's all right. I'll get you in a second. So you're going to check all above the one. Watch that quick CMA highlight. It highlights. And then I simply click it. Oh, very nice. Will you, Ryan, do it $20 as a tip? All right, so this is the CMA. Does everybody see how I did that? I was right here. I had to check all. And once I checked all, I hit quick CMA and it gave me this screen. All right, now that shows the active home. That really doesn't matter because who knows if it's priced right. As I scroll down, that says closed. That means they've sold, and that's good empirical data to use. All right. I like to print this, and you'll see that at the bottom, there's usually going to be some space right here. And I like to get a pen out, and I like to put the square footage of the home, which is 2287. I put it 4 times, 2287, 2287, 2287, 2287. I put a times next to it. And then what I do is I go up here and I look at the average high price, the median, and the low. So you can see 189, 223, 206, 206. I multiply the square footage times every one of those. It gives me a high, low, median, and average. And then if I'm not meeting the seller till tomorrow, I could text him and go, hey, Jay, it's Doug. I'll see you tomorrow at 10. Hey, what were you thinking on your price? And if he goes, how about 300? Well, I know that that's probably good enough because there's no homes on the market. I mean, if he said 800, then he's cuckoo. And I got data to show it to him. All right. So again, if you look at the homes that sold, and I mean, I'm doing this kind of off the cuff, but it's for training, 2287. What I'm looking for is this column right here. I'm looking for around 2,200 square feet. And you can see there's really only 2 right there and right there. If I go down, that's 1,000. That's not going to be a good comp. Look how much price per square foot that 1,000 is. 223. That's pretty much the rule of thumb. The smaller a home, the higher the price per square foot. That's why you don't want to compare a 1,000 square foot home to a 2,200 square foot home. All right. So really, I don't need to do all 4 of those prices. I could probably do these 2. And let me explain how I would do these 2. I would put 20. I would put right here, down at the bottom, I'd put 133 and I'd put 163. Then I would add them together and divide by 2. So I'd have the high, the low, and the median. Okay. And I would take it times 2287 because that's what the square footage is. And I mean, you know, I think that, what's that?
Did you see the cell phone in here? Oh, has it been ringing?
It did one time.
Okay, I'm coming down to get it.
Okay. So on my phone, if I did 2287 times 133, that's 304.
That's the price.
If I,
Yeah.
133 is, I did 133 times the square footage of the home I'm gonna meet at. It's 304,000. All right. And then if I do the other one, 163 times 2287, I get 372. That's going to be too high because look in here, just look at the solds. They average 210 to 324. I think that 300 is golden.
Right on.
Now, if I was at the house tomorrow and and I'm going to tell you how I get to the kitchen with them and show this. But if I said, I'm thinking 300, what were you thinking? And if he goes, man, I mean, I would be looking at 280. I'd say, well, let's start there. I mean, he already told me 280. The goal is to get the home sold. And if he's at 280, I know that he's already in his mind got 280. And I'm like, well, let's do 280. Or do you want to do 290 and check it out for 3 weeks and then lower it to 280?
Had coffee with him in the morning. He said,
Well,
he's kind of.
Well, I mean, if he said 3, what I'd say is booyah. I mean, because that's how I talk to people. I would go, boom, I'll see you tomorrow at 10. Let's lock and load this puppy. You got a spare key for me tomorrow because I'm bringing my sign and key box. And I'll leave. We'll have it in the MLS 30 minutes later. That's how you do it. So you're going to print the agent full report, the tax roll, and you're going to print this. And we know now 300. We also know that he met him this morning for coffee, but he's not meeting him till tomorrow at 10. That means that overnight, he's got a lot of time to think. And tomorrow, when you meet him, we know he ain't going to 290. But we also know the chances are he went to 310. So what we're going to do is 3 net sheets, and we're going to do them at 300, 290, and 310, 10,000 increments. So we're out of MLS now. We're done. I don't need MLS anymore. Now I need to go to some type of net sheet app. Even though this is truly title, this is super easy to spell, chicagoagent.com. And you're going to have a login. And I pray to God it has my, oh, perfect. It doesn't have my. So you're going to have a login. And when you log in, you're going to have to find your login. Right, give me a second. Only because they've changed apps. So,
Can I see this online? Or from my phone right now?
not on your, well, yeah, you can, but it might be, but I'm going to, I've recorded it.
Okay.
I'm about to post it on group meet. You ever go?
I'm gonna go.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, good seeing you. All right. It's Haley. She's checking us out. All right. We love to have you. Any questions, let me know. And then watch those videos. That's your #1 goal, to pass your test. All right. So you'll have your own email and your login. Once you log in, and I have this on my phone. I actually never use this on a laptop except for training. I have the app on my phone. It's Chicago Agent, one word, space 1, O-N-E. When you download it, it's crazy because you can do everything on your phone. This is the screen that opens up on your phone. By default, it opens up to a buyer net sheet. We don't need that. We need a seller net. So all you do is you hit seller, and it's going to open up to a seller net. And we're going to start at 300. Put in 3 zeros. What are you doing the commission wise? Is it a program where you're going to help them on the buy? Or are you doing 6%, 5, 3, 4? Okay. So by default, it opens up to 6. Okay. Let's say that when Jay talked to him, he goes, well, when I sell this house, I'm going to buy a $400,000 house in Duncanville in the next subdivision. Well, then you might say, I'll list it for 5%. That means you'll get 2, 3 goes to the other agent, but you're about to make 3 in a month paid by the seller agent. So,
About an apartment.
okay, well, you're going to get signed in. Okay. So you probably don't need to reduce it if he didn't mention it. But if he says anything tomorrow, like, hey, is there any play on that? Say, well, since you signed me on an apartment, I'll go ahead and I'll take a 0.5% off my commission. And that way you're doing it for 5.5 instead of 6. But if he never mentions it, then do 6. I'm going to leave it 6, but I do want to show you how you could change it, because you do want to show that net sheet accurately if they're going to buy another house with you. All you do is hit the rotary. And when you hit the rotary, it's going to say, hey, how much are you offering a buyer's broker? 3%. Oh, I'm going to change mine to 2. So you hit 2. When you hit done, it says you want to save it for all future or just this one, and boom, you get 5%. Okay. But we're going to go ahead and change it to 6 because that's what he's doing, even though I'm not printing this, but I want you to see how I'm doing it. All right. So here's how easy it is. All I did was plug in 300. I don't touch anything else. If you never knew the taxes for the year, it has 2.7 and the normal tax rate is 2.4. So you're going to look good. It's not going to underestimate the taxes, but didn't you print the tax roll? You can plug in the exact taxes. So you look down on the tax roll and it says the taxes are 63.31 and 61 cents. It automatically, when I started plugging in the number, changed it from percentage to dollar amount. You scroll down a little further. Don't worry about the interest rate. That doesn't matter. It's not applicable. I like to just delete it. What it is basically is it's this app trying to figure out what his seller has on his current mortgage. And I don't care about that. I don't think you should ever worry about what the seller's payoff is, because half the time they don't know. And that way, when you do this net sheet, all you're telling them is what they're going to walk away with you. And then they can go figure out what they owe. What you have to do is you have to estimate when you might have a closing on this house. So what I've done is I've made this automatically due 30 days out. And all you got to do is hit the rotary. And you hit the rotary and it'll say, hey, you want to make it a default? And if you just pick 30 days, it makes it where you're plugging in 2 things. All you did was plug in the taxes and the price and hit compute. And when you hit compute, it takes a second. It's going to give you a net sheet. Super crazy and super cool, because That's a net sheet. And then right there, it'll say share or print. You click on that. It's going to give you 7 templates to pick from that fit your personality. This one is good enough for me. So I'm going to go through it real quick, and then so you'll know how to explain it. But at the end of the day, all you're going to do is hit print right here, and you're going to print it. And then all you do is you go back up here to the top and you hit back, and you're right back at the numbers. And you go in here and change it to what? 310. Because they're probably going to change their mind and go to 310 by tomorrow. Hit tab a couple times, scroll to the bottom, hit compute. You're going to hit compute. It's going to do a new net sheet. You're going to go to print, and now you have 2 of them. Okay. So let me just show you how to interpret one of these. And you fit it for your personality. But basically, at some point, I'm going to be in the kitchen, and I'm going to open up a file, and I'm going to have the tax roll. Hey, Ron, I just wanted to confirm that's your name. Looks like you pay $6,300 in taxes. Boom. Hey, Ron, this is the CMA. It looks like what we said, 310. Perfect. And then you have this. And you go, Ron, this is a net sheet. I like a net sheet every time I list a home so that you know I'm not making up numbers and they don't change at closing. So I'm just going to kind of simplify this, but basically I had to pick a closing date and I just made it 30 days out. It could be the end of June, but I just picked 30 days out. I had to pick a hypothetical sales price. I picked 310 because you said 300 yesterday, but then this morning you said you were thinking about 310. I went ahead and did a net sheet for 10,000 higher than what you told me yesterday. That's going to be pretty impressive. Your total closing costs are $21,592. Those are itemized at the bottom, and I'm about to cover them with you. It says your balance is 0 because do you even have a balance? Oh yeah, it's $101,000. It's $101,000 last time I checked. Well, it's not going to be $101,000 if we close in a month because you have a mortgage payment, you have interest. So I don't worry about what you owe, but I will tell you that if you see that number on the right, that $286,569.23, that's where you're going to walk away with me. If you owe $200,000, well, that means you're going to walk away with $86,569.23. So you'll just deduct it from that total amount that you'll walk away with from me. And most buyers aren't that stupid, and or sellers, they get that. $18.38.77. This is where I think we make the difference between other realtors in our firm, because this prorated 6331, divided it by 12 months and prorated it, debited him January 1st to April 17th. It's a debit. And that's a perfect time to ask the seller, do you pay your taxes monthly or every November? He goes, every month. Then what you say is, well, you have that amount in an imaginary savings account. You're going to get it back, but it's going to take 8 weeks. That's going to be absolute. Hey, how you doing? Good. Okay, have a seat. I just talked to you.
Yeah, I spoke to you this morning.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, we just started, so you're golden. And there's pizza there. We'll do it whenever y'all want, and Bundini's, and drinks right there. Okay, so the reason why this is important is because most realtors show it as a wash, and it's not. You're going to be debited that amount January 1st to the day of closing, and the further in the year you get, the bigger that amount is. And if you don't show it as a debit, that means they're netting less than what you think they are. And that's going to screw the pooch, like in the biggest way possible, because this is just $6,300 in yearly taxes. That's what, $450 a month? But a lot of times the taxes are over 12 grand. That's $1,000 a month. And when you get a buyer closing the end of September, that's $9,000 that you forgot to put as a debit, and it will be debited the day of closing, even if they have an escrow account. That escrow account, they get back in about 8 weeks. But a lot of realtors think it's a wash, and they show it as another 0. Well, if it was $1,000 a month and you closed the end of September, that's $12,000 debit. If you left that blank and it showed they were making $9,000 as a profit, you will never get that client again, because at closing, how much are they going to bring to closing? $5 grand. You screwed up a complete debit. Does that make sense? Even if they pay their taxes every November, it's still going to be a debit, because the difference is that a seller that pays their taxes every November, they're always going to be debited January 1st to the day of closing. It's just they won't get a refund back. But the seller that does pay escrows, a 12th each month, they're not going to get a wash. It's going to take 8 weeks to get that refund back. A wash is when I give you a Dr. Pepper and you give me a Dr. Pepper, and we both leave with a Dr. Pepper. The day you give me a Dr. Pepper, go, hey, thanks, Mason. I'll catch you in about 8 weeks with, I'll give you a Dr. Pepper back in 8 weeks. You're like, that's not a wash. I was debited a Dr. Pepper today. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So that's why that's super important. The total net is 286,569. Then they want to know what the 21,000 in expenses are. Here's the easiest way to explain it. From the owner's title policy down to the recording fee, those are basically preset expenses with any title company. However, in this market, there's only one widget on the market. And in a normal market, there's 9 months of widgets. So because there's only one widget, there are some costs that a seller normally incurs that a buyer's picking up. But we won't know until we get an offer. So I'm putting what's the worst case scenario for you. And that means that the owner's title policy, which in the last 14 months, I haven't even found a seller that's paid it. I am going to go ahead and show it as a debit because I want him to know worst case scenario. That is going to be, I like to say it's 1% of the sales price. The reason why I say that is it's super easy math, and it's always going to make me look good because you can clearly see that $1,939 is not 1% of $310, or it'd be $3,100. So you'll always look good. This is actually exact. The 425 is escrow, dog prep 150, tax cert 38, recording of $40. You're going to have that no matter who you close with in Texas. The only two negotiable items are going to be the title policy, which could be on the buyer side, and it's going to be the home warranty, which is paragraph 7H. I template $700 in all y'all's. This shows $400. All you got to do, and I can, you'll be able to edit this and take that cost out when you actually get a real offer. I just like to show this all as worst case scenario. Does that make sense? And there you got the commissions. You got to be able to explain it to them. They're going to see $9,300 and they're going to butt pucker because they're like, oh my God, I'm paying 19 grand in commissions. And that's where you go, well, let me explain how that works. And this is just what I do. Hey, Anthony, here's the way it works. I'm going to go put a sign in the yard, maybe today, if you're good, because if you're good, I've got a sign in the key box in my car and I'm ready to go. Is that part of closing? Yeah. And if you see things like his natural body language right now, sounds to me like I might be getting the listing. If he starts to look weird, I'm not going to push that anymore. But I mean, right now, his body language to me, when I said that, I didn't see anything that objected to it. And I go, so if I put my sign in the yard and it says Doug Smith, and as I'm driving off, Tabitha lives 3 houses down and she texts me and says, hey, did you just leave that house? I saw you putting a sign in the yard. And I go, yeah, I am. She's like, oh, well, are you the realtor? Yeah, I am. Well, I'm trying to get my mom moved here from New York and I see that's a single story. Is there any way, I mean, I'm a neighbor 3 doors down. I don't know the seller, but can you make a U-turn and show it to me real quick? What are you going to say? Well, I mean, I'm going to slap you if you say no. So you go, absolutely. So you make a U-turn and what do you give Tabitha the first time you meet her? The IBS as a single sheet of paper or maybe in a home buyer packet that you have like 10 copies in your car. So you get out, you shake her hand, little home buyer packet, walk in. What if she takes one step in and looks at you and goes, I don't need to look anymore. I want it. Do you need to say, well, we need to look at the rest of the house first? No, you just say, cool, give me about 40 minutes and I'll start sending you some documents. What are we going to be in? An intermediary. And am I going to be the only agent? I sure as hell am. And now I can help you with it, but I mean, I help you with it like that and you will do it on your own and get paid maybe 6%. Unless you don't want to be a dick and take this guy to the cleaners for 6% when he lists his home for a minute. You could, but you also could say, hey, because I am going to be the only agent, instead of 6%, I'm going to knock it down to 5. I'm going to let you net 1% more, but I want all your business. I want all your real estate, your family, your friends, your friggin', I don't care, ancestors from Scotland. I want everybody because I didn't have to reduce my commission from 6 to 5, but I'm doing it because I don't care about this one sale. I care about a lifelong relationship with you, knowing that people are going to buy and sell every 5 years. And most of you are much younger than me. and you're going to have business with these people repeat forever. And so that would just be an intermediary. Okay. That would be one example where you say, hey, we play with this a little. It might go from 6 to 5. All right. But as of right now, it's 6. And if they're good with it, then that's their net right there, 286. So far, what have we printed? Agent full report, tax roll, CMA, and 3 net sheets. We're done. Now we haven't even met anybody yet because we're meeting them tomorrow at 10. Now we need to log into zip forms. And again, I have this also on Transaction Desk and MLS. Everything is pre-filled, everything. And it's also pre-filled in each one of y'all's zip forms. So this is the website I like to go to, texasrealestate.com. It can also be zipformsplus.com. Either way, it's just different ways to skin the cat. You're going to hit login here, and you should have your email already set up. You'll hit login again, and you'll go right back to the same screen. It's going to say, hi, Doug. Hi, Franco. Hi, Marcel. And when you see it to the right, it's going to say zip forms. You're going to click on it, and the screen's going to turn blue. Can you see? The reason I'm trying to tell you what screen's next before it actually hits is that's my job, is to know what you're about to see before you see it, because you're going to need me sometimes when I'm actually not in front of a computer, and I can do this in my sleep. So this is probably the most important thing to ever learn about what comes out of my mouth. And that is, when that screen turns blue, you hit one tab and friggin' one tab only. And it's the new button. And you see it right there. When you click it, 5 boxes pull up. We only care about the first 3. You're either working with a seller, and that's called a listing, a buyer, that's called a purchase, or it's a lease. And the lease encompasses both tenant and landlord. So we know that Jay's client is a seller. So we're going to hit listing. And again, this is going to be training, so I'm going to name it Jay. Now, I'm the only one that sees that. So if I think Jay is a GQ model, I might put GQ model. He's not going to see it. I could name it Cuckoo Bird if I want, if the seller's crazier than a run over dog. It doesn't matter. I'm the only one that's going to see it. So again, I'm going to name it training. I say always select the dot next to residential. All we're trying to do is set a protocol up that makes it simple. You don't have to make this harder than it is. I don't care if it's vacant land, commercial, a condo, multi-unit, co-op, manufactured home, friggin' hit the dot next to residential every time. Just makes it simple. So far, I've named it, I've hit that dot, and then right here it says select template. And you're going to have 4 templates. You're going to have a buyer, seller, tenant, landlord. I'm looking for the seller template, which is called listing. I hit that template, I scroll down, I hit save, and then I always say the next screen, you're looking at a white summary square. That's a white summary square right there. And I'll say, go 2 tabs over to documents, and I'll have every form that you need pre-filled. So I'm not going to even open the IBS because it's already pre-filled. I only need 3 things to go on a listing. The IBS, the seller's disclosure, and the listing agreement. 2 of them I don't even need to open. One is that, and one is the seller's disclosure. Okay, the IBS is already pre-filled. You don't put any buyer information on that, or seller, or tenant, or landlord. So I'm going to print the IBS, I'm going to print the seller's disclosure, and then I'm going to open up the listing agreement. When I open up the listing agreement, it's going to be pre-filled. Okay, right up here at the top, I'm going to look at the tax roll, and the tax roll says Laura Ramsey. I like to do all caps because it makes it quicker, and I'm going to type in her name. I don't type in any of the address right there because this is where the address goes, the property. I'm looking at the tax roll, and right under legal description, it says Lot 10A. It says Block J. It says the subdivision is Irwin Kiesler. I'm going to hit tab again. It says City of Duncanville. It says County of Dallas. It says known as 1215 Ledema. I'm sorry, that tab too quick. Right here, it says known as.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
When you do it what's the difference between zip forms and transaction? That's when you put a real list tax where automatically populates when you don't.
The same thing. You can actually do it in here.
As
And
well?
awesome. You can. Yeah. I'm just doing it kind of from a more basic level, but absolutely you can. And everything auto populates that way as well. Here's how I templated it. So all you did in the first paragraph is put the seller's name from the tax roll. All you did in paragraph 2 is you put the seller's address from the tax roll. Most homes have an HOA. I've already templated it that it has one, so it's already marked. I don't know if it has an HOA, but it does have the agent full report from 2003 to today. And all I do is look in the middle of it, and right there it says none. That means there's not one. That's about 3% of the time when you do a listing. All I got to do is uncheck mark it. But I know that if I forgot, chances are there is an HOA, and I've already templated it, so I should be good. All right. Down here, I'm going to go ahead and hit the begin date as tomorrow, because that's when we're meeting them. And then everybody asks, like, how long do you do a listing? Well, it's random. My mood really just depends. I usually go about 3-4 months. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever you're good with. I do like to pick the same date, so it kind of looks like it matches, if that makes sense. Look what I have here. It's already pre-filled, 6%. And then I like to include my transaction fee to be paid by the seller. You don't have to do that. I don't template yours like that, but I do template the 6%. And that way you're always protected if you skip it for some reason. If it was my best friend, I'd probably take this out. So if it was a church buddy, I'd probably go, hey, I'm not going to charge that $225. He's meeting a church person. That's why I'm saying that. You scroll down. I'm not going to fill anything else out. This whole form is pre-filled. I'm done. But I am going to show you a couple things. This is centralized showing systems. They're now called Showing Time. I keep it as CSS because it's actually called Showing Time CSS or CSS Showing Times. They bought each other out. It's the same friggin' company. I put CSS there when I template your forms. This is where you tell the seller, Jay, hey, I'm not the one that's actually going to call you when somebody wants to make an appointment. I'm going to set this up through a professional entity where they're going to call you. Hey, Lola. They're going to actually call you, Mr. Seller, and they're going to say, hey, we have a buyer looking tomorrow, 12 to 2. They're with Remax. Is it okay? And the seller's going to say yay or nay, and they're going to get it approved on their own. Okay. You'll get an email every time or a text anytime somebody accesses your key box. Do you need one for tomorrow? That's why I brought it. If you scroll down, it says that he'll be able to put a key box. It's already pre-filled. Remember when I had the 6% in the beginning? This is showing how it's split. So it's a total of 6. 3 is going to the other agent. I like to already have marked intermediary. That means that once the listing's signed, I've already got it authorized. Okay. I've never had but once a seller go, what does intermediary mean? And I just look at them and go, don't you want as many agents to look at your house as possible? And they always say yes. And you go, that's all it says. And you just turn the page. That's all it does say. Because if it's not authorized, you can't even show the house. And that's how intermediary works. So by getting it marked already, and you just go, it just says, we're going to have as many agents look at it as possible. If it might never arise. If it ever does arise, you're going to have to get another form signed called a notice of intermediary. But we'll do that like that. It's no problem. Intermediary shouldn't freak out anybody. All intermediary is somebody likes you and they don't care about what the limitations are, because at the end of the day, they're going to work with you because they like you and trust you. And in an intermediary, there's no disadvantage that's really going to come up. But if you act scared, they're going to think you're scared. Just like when you ride a horse, it'll buck you off like it did my wife. We went down to Cozumel and I told her not to talk to any of the Mexicans when we got off the airplane because they were going to sell us a timeshare. And I didn't want to go on a friggin' cruise of a boat trip and a free horseback ride. I friggin' got to the cab and I looked back and she was surrounded by people selling her timeshare and said, oh, go on this horseback ride. I love horses. So I'm on there like Yellowstone. I look over and she's sideways. Her hair is dipping in the ocean. She's like this. And I mean, I told her at the end, I was like, it's because the horse thought you were scared. And I was like, and that's the same it is with almost anything in life. This is special provisions. And I don't do this in your templates, but this is what I've always done. And again, this is my business plan. I have never believed in locking in somebody to a contract ever. So if you've noticed your ICAs have either party can terminate with 1-day notice, that's no broker does that. My buyer reps say either party can terminate with 1-day notice, and my listing agreements say either party can terminate with 1-day notice. Some people don't like it because it basically makes this agreement what? day to day. But if you do your job, there's nobody going to terminate with you. But what it does do is if you go tomorrow at 10 and they say they're going to meet another agent in the afternoon, what you could say is, well, no matter who you list with, I would demand nothing less than a phrase like this. Either party can terminate with 1 day notice. And you just explain to them that our business is a service business. And what you're going to find is that you probably just eliminated that listing at 2 p.m. because they've never heard of this phrase, and they're going to get super defensive. And they're going to wonder, why are you wanting this phrase? Oh, because a guy came this morning and said that he's done it for 30 years and nobody's ever terminated with him. Again, most people are afraid of what they never had explained to them. And again, all these documents, whether you have either party can terminate or not, if he hates me as a seller, why in the hell would I want to keep a sign in the front yard? All he's going to do is go to Bunko and the gym, and he's going to say how I'm the biggest asshole he's ever met. And other people in the community are going to go, we'll never use Doug. But if he said, hey, I met a guy super hyper, just doesn't fit me, but he was super nice. I mean, he let me out of this transaction. And, I would recommend him because I think you kind of have a personality like his. You could actually maybe get business that way, but you sure as hell won't burning a bridge. It's my decision on mine. You are independent contractor, so you don't have to do that. I like having pre-filled that if Doug Smith is buyer agent for seller's next home, Doug Smith's listing commission is reduced from basically what I'm saying from 6 to 5, because I'm going to get 2 and the other agent's going to get 3. But I do put at the end, home would need to be under contract before this listing closes. And what that means is this sounds really good. And Jay goes under contract on this house. He knows I'm going to reduce my commission from 6 to 5, but then he decides to tell me a day before closing that he wants a lease for a year. Well, my luck is that your significant other you meet over the next year is a realtor, and you're never going to call me back. But if I go back to the 6 and say, oh no, it defaults back to 6%, and I'll rebate you 1 in a year when you call me, he'll always remember me, but not when I give him the rebate up front. Does that make sense? Well, let me give you a real life example.
I feel like you're playing mind games. I'm trying to understand.
Okay. Well, I was a firefighter in Frisco for 10 years. And I was full-time and part-time, on and off, and a volunteer. I have a really good name recognition with the department as a volunteer firefighter and a fireman. As they saw my work ethic, they would go, hey man, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a realtor. Well, they just wanted to work with me because I was in the brotherhood. I say brotherhood very lightly because they say brotherhood, but what happens is sometimes you get screwed by your own brother. So what I did is I had a program where I would list a fireman's house for 0 on my end. So 3%, but I had to be their agent on the next home. Okay. So I list his house, works on A shift with me, see him every day. Yeah, I'll list your house for 0 because I'll do it for everybody in the fire department. 0, only 3% was going to the buyer's agent. Well, then what would happen is the day before closing, you tell me that, hey, I don't think we do want to buy. I think we want to rent for a year. And I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. I mean, I'm going to see you every 3rd shift. So, I mean, I'll stay in touch with you. Except that he was single and he met his girlfriend next month or boyfriend. And guess what they were? Right. So now, fast forward 3 years, I see him at an Easter egg hunt. And Jay comes up to me, he's like, hey man, how you doing? I'm like, good. Hey, whenever you're ready to buy, let me know. Oh shit, we've already bought 2 homes. What do you mean? Oh, hey, have you met Susie? Oh, I didn't know her when I met you, but she's a realtor. Enough said. What I should have done is said, hey, it's 0 if the other home closes or is under contract when this one closes. But I didn't do that. If I would have said, hey, I'll give you the 3 back, but I need to make it 6. And then I'll rebate you 3% of this price on the next house you buy. It's still getting the same. They never forget your name because they're going to leave money on the table. And that's all I'm trying to say is I've learned from that mistake and I don't do it anymore. And that's all that says. It's not word game or mind game. It just says, hey, don't screw me because I'm going to bust ass on you. I'm going to bust ass working for you on this listing. And I want to make sure that my reduction, I get paid back for. Because a lot of people decide they want to rent for a year. Sometimes not just because they can't buy, but because what? In this market, they can't find the home that they wanted to buy. And that's the only reason they wanted to sell this home. So instead they want to lease for a year and just check the market out. And they want to keep getting listings. And you think that they're getting yours. But then their significant other goes through Champions and what? 3 weeks becomes a realtor. Because that's how quick you can become a realtor. And all of a sudden, they're not going to use you anymore.
exactly my scenario on my listing, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it happens all the time. And then the last one, I just say, if Doug Smith is the only agent involved, the commission goes from 6 to 4. It sounds like I'm really like minimizing my commission. But again, what was the most that I was going to get with 2 agents? So now I'm getting 4 with 1, but they look like I'm a hero because I reduced it from 6 to 4. And they're like, that's crazy. And anytime that you have a commission reduction, would you ever have to call me to ask me if you're okay with it? Never. And so that's why I don't feel like we as a firm can ever get beat out on a listing when we're competing with another agent about a commission break. Because, I mean, it's got to make sense financially to you. But again, I'd say I can beat it because you're going to put a sign in the yard, do open house out the ass. You should just get sign calls alone and convert one of them into something that will help pay for that. But at least you're getting some advertising in the thing. And then that's it. But I mean, I really haven't touched anything in the last paragraph. That's my wife's name because I'm getting her production for her broker's license. She's been licensed since 2012. It's just that we haven't gotten her production, but she's going to be a broker in a couple of years. So anyways, the whole listing is done. So what did I do at the end of the day? I went into the, I'm going to recap and not do the second listing. I'm going to recap real quick what I did on this one. And it'll take 5 minutes and then we'll eat. And I'll be here for the rest of the day. So a call came in and the call came in. I said, hey, this is Doug Smith with DHS Realty. Hey, my name is Miss Ramsey. I know you from church. I was wondering if you wanted to come out and tell me what my home is worth. Absolutely. When do you want to meet? Oh, I don't know. How about Saturday at 10? Boom. I'll be there. Give me your address. 1215 Lodima. Is this your cell phone? Yes. Do you text? You do? What's your email? Ramsey@ramsey.com. All right. I'll see you at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I get off the phone. I send her my electronic business card. I send her a video on myself through YouTube. Then I log into MLS, matrix.netrus.net, knowing or not knowing whether it's ever been in the MLS before. I'm about to start my listing presentation. I want to make sure that maybe I can make it easier than harder. So I'm going to go right here to this square, which is the hidden gem of MLS. I'm going to type in 1215 in street number, and I'm going to spell the first 3 letters of the street name, LOD, and hit enter. And it's going to go back to 2003 and pull up any time that home was ever listed. I see it right there. I click on the MLS number. When I get the MLS number, I print it. I put it on one side of my computer. I then look above the picture and it says listing, tax. I click on tax. That's the tax roll. I print it. I put it on this side of the computer. Then I go in and do a CMA. I hover over search, residential quick or detailed. I go there and we already know. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I'm going to click these 3. I'm going to click pending sold. I'm going to change it 0 to 180. Let's say that nothing came out in the subdivision. We've already done the subdivision one. Let's say that nothing comes up in the subdivision. So instead, I'm going to go up here and it says within blank miles of blank address. I'm going to slowly type in 1215 LOD. I'm going to keep going. EMA. And look at that. It pulls it up. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go over here and say, let me see how many houses are 3 miles. There's 2. How many are 5 miles? There's 261. Well, I think I'm going to go back to 2 miles. I'm going to do 3. There's 261. I'm going to go 2. Okay. And then I go over here and go, I want all the ones that are 3 to 3 bedrooms, all the ones that are 2 to 2 bedrooms. I look at the age built and it looks like this one is 83. So I go 1980-1985. And you know, what you'll see is that this will change up a little. Okay. At some point you're going to get matchings. And when you do, I'm just going to do a, oh, I put a comma, I put an asterisk there. That's what it is. Okay. So let's say that there were 7 matches. I'm going to hit results. The next screen is going to be a single line of all the properties. I'm going to check mark the box. And we know that we're going to click quick CMA and it's going to do a quick CMA. Okay. Then you're going to go do a net sheet. And we've already done the net sheet. And we know that this app is called chicagoagent.com. We're going to do 3 net sheets. Then we get out of the net sheet app and we know we're going to go into zip forms. Okay. And when we get into zip forms, the one I like to go to is texasrealestate.com. As soon as you log in, you're going to see on the right, it's going to say your name. Hi, Doug. You hit zip forms. And one more time, when the screen turns blue, you hit what tab? The new tab, 5 boxes pull up. We only care about the first 3. Boom, name it, select the dot next to residential, drop down template, hit save. The next screen's a white summary square, go 2 tabs of documents. I'm telling you, if you can remember that over and over and over again, it's just like going to make your life so much easy. I mean, Lola, she works the hours I work. She's always out meeting people. She's always doing everything on her phone. I mean, she does computers and has a setup, but truly to be successful in real estate, in my opinion, whether you join a brokerage firm with brick or mortar or not, you got to be remote. And that just means that life happens, man. I'm going to be in Cleveland next week. She's going to do training. I'll be in the air for about 2 hours. I won't have any service. When that plane lands, I'll be doing real estate as I'm getting my luggage. I'll be doing real estate in the back of a cab or a rental car. I'll be doing real estate talking to my brother-in-law, whatever, because I don't turn it off and I don't want to turn it off. And the day I do want to turn it off is the day I'm going to leave and you won't see me anymore because life's too short to do shit that you don't like. And that's why I try to give y'all as much as you can leeway and be able to market and brand yourself. And that's why we have such a great growth. I mean, we're probably going to bring on a few agents today. I'm meeting with Lindsay in a couple, joking. I meet with Lindsay in a couple weeks. I mean, every day I get home from teaching and somebody's texting me. And I mean, they're texting me not because of me. They're texting me because they've seen, number one, my energy. But then when they come to training like that, they feed off of you guys. They might come originally because of me, but they stay because of the camaraderie, and we're just a company of givers. We got that Group Me app. I mean, we give out key boxes where you don't have to buy them. Those are $120 each. I got signs in my yard right now that 3 agents are going to get. Now they have my number on them. And I told them, I said, you just got to know my character. You borrow my sign. If the phone rings, I'm going to text you the lead if you're listening. And if I don't know whose listening it is, I'm going to send it to whoever that's on my phone as the latest text message and just go, hey, call these people. I don't know what address. But if they go, hey, I'm calling on 123 Easy Street and it's Jay's listing, I'm going to text the lead to Jay until he gets his own sign. I'd much rather him have his own sign, but I got an agent joining today maybe, and she needs a sign by Monday. And I'm like, hey, I'll get you a sign if you want, or you can try to get a rush on it. I don't think they get them in that quickly, in 3 days. And then I've got a number of agents that are actually in here. They got offers on their own listings in the last week. Every time they got an offer, they sent it to me. And I would basically say, hey, here's what I'm looking for. When you get an offer, you're looking for conventional, appraisal waiver, full. That means the first box checked, no home warranty, 7H. 6A, you want the title to be paid by the buyer. You want the title company to be the seller, whatever the seller agent wants, because you don't want to fight that battle if you're in a multiple offer situation. The top of page 3, you want to have the buyer pay for the survey if the seller doesn't have one, if you want to get the home. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to make the net, the max to the seller, even beyond the price. Because you could have multiple offers that are the same with conventional 20% down, appraisal waivers, and now we're looking at tertiary terms, things that are in the peripheral. And they add up, especially when the listing agent does a net sheet, which is what you'll do to your seller every time you get an offer. And you just kind of dumb it down. The seller doesn't know a title policy from their ass. But if you can tell them this is what you're going to net, that's all they care about. And so if they want to net more, all you got to do is counter the price higher. You don't have to change all these, minutia. Does that make sense? All right, let's go around real quick. And we're done with the recording part. Let's just introduce ourselves. We'll get pizza. Anything you want to add about listings that are different? I just do this because I want it to kind of be a foundation for people to know, like, this is the bare minimum. Lola does much more. Dave Wilson, some agents that have been with me longer. Ron, he does business. Everybody does it different. But I think that almost to a T, we all have a foundation. And that way you're not like just all over the place. Whenever somebody calls for a listing, get their phone number, make sure they text, send them a business card electronically, send them a video on yourself. From now on, almost everything you should do, in my opinion, should be video messaging. I mean, Lola sent me multiple video messages last night and pictures. I'm getting to know her. If I was a seller, even if she said, hey, it's Doug. Thanks for calling me earlier. I'll see you tomorrow at 10. Looking forward to meeting you. It's not that they care about what we look like, but they're starting to glean your personality. And if they think that you're slimy, you can catch on to that like that. And you're like, yeah, I'm busy tomorrow. My kid got the flu. Really, they didn't. They just didn't like your personality. It's better they know now. You didn't waste your time going over there. Because if you went over there and you're slimy, you just wasted gas money, which is probably $100, and you're not going to get the listing. I'd rather much more people know who I am and go, yeah, I don't think so. No harm, no foul, because that actually is not the only meeting I'm going to tomorrow. And that's how Jay has to have the mindset, is that I'd rather you like me or not like me now. I don't want to be pregnant in the morning. And that's kind of my go-to as an expression, is that nobody wants to be pregnant in the morning. They want to be dated, courted, feel like they're loved. And that's actually what a buyer, seller, tenant, landlord wants. Does that make sense? It came off The Office. I stole it. All right, what do we got? Go ahead, Ron. Just a little bit about yourself. Introduce your lovely wife. We all know you outkicked your coverage like all of us. At least I did, I know.
Ron Jenkins, been in real estate for up to 2 or 3 years. The journey getting it done, but we got it done, and we're really excited. And my wife Janet is going to be my teammate, and I'll be the boss.